Hey guys, I'm Miss Osuna. Let's do a croquis that is really snatched. She's gonna have her shoulders up, her back is gonna be rolled a little bit. She's gonna have her head and her chin right over her shoulder. It's gonna be a really good dynamic look. So set up your paper, oval, straight line, measure off 9 heads. I like to do 10 heads, but 9 heads is standard. I do 10 heads because I worked on the East Coast as well. And in the United States, a lot of times the larger croquis on the East Coast are used. That's more of an avant-garde technique. Since this is an avant-garde pose, the 10 head croquis is appropriate. So let's also make sure that we all have every label, every line in your initial sketch. And then let's put in our shoulder guideline. So go to your center and starting at 1.5, the left side goes higher, right side lower, and it's the opposite for the waist. So the waist is at 3. Now let's just drop down and pop in our guideline for the crotch. That's 4.25, parallel to the waist. All right, now on the right side, we're having our parenthesis. We're gonna start below the waist. This parenthesis faces the left. On your waist, just make sure it's a little bit closer to the center. And by the time you get to the crotch guideline, it needs to be much further away from the center. All right, and now measure over about 1 head space and do the opposite side parenthesis because we know the waist is gonna be 1 inch wide approximately. And then curve down. You'll notice the width of our hip is about 1.5 heads wide. Now put your dash at the center line and then put in your bikini bottoms. So we are on the right side having a smile and the left side is a parenthesis facing left. So that right side is a smile instead of our traditional frown shape. All right, find the middle of that bikini leg opening on the right side and drag down toward the center line. So by the time you get down to your ankle, which is gonna be number 8 if you are doing a 9 head croquis, that is going to be then where from our ankle, we are gonna aim toward the right for our toe. We're gonna drag down our thigh, so we need a socket for our kneecap. So right at 6, go on ahead and put in your socket for your knee. It's a circle. And then go up to the hip, drag down to the right side of that socket, and up to the crotch, drag down to the left. Now short parentheses for the rest of our leg. And remember the parenthesis on the right side faces right, and it's shorter. And drag that down to the ankle socket. Put the ankle socket in at number 8. Drag down the left side there, and finish on the left side of our ankle socket. Make sure it tapers in at the ankle and the knee. Okay, here is our foot. So we go diagonally to the right, and then we come straight back, and we go up, and our C shape connects the ankle to the sole of the foot. I have rounded this toe off because I just didn't want it to be in a shoe. So this is more round for the toe, but you could put it in a point for a high heel shoe, but I'm gonna have her barefoot. Up next, we have leg number 2. Find the middle of that leg opening and drag to the left. This is that attitude. And your knee socket is lower on the left side. Drag down and repeat that process for our knee and our leg on the left side. So you're repeating what you did on the right. So we're gonna be dealing with our front view foot here on the left of our paper. And again, we come down diagonally, and then we are simply just gonna round that off. You could point it if you want, but I'm just showing that she's barefoot. But if you wanted her to be in high heels, just make that triangle point. Okay, now the upper part of the body, starting on the left side of our paper, we're gonna have a bigger curve, and the right side of our paper is a shorter curve. So notice that left side curve for the upper body is much more curved, and you can actually push that curve even further if you wanted her body to be even more dramatic. So this would be a standard positioning, but you can go further. Now for the left shoulder, you can measure it just to make sure it's about 1.5 inches wide, or 1.5 heads wide. But on the left shoulder, we are going to put our N shape and drag down a guideline for your arm, right in the middle of that N shape. And we're going to bend it. So these are directional guidelines you can go back and measure later. From here, the face is going to be right at the edge of that shoulder, so parenthesis facing right, and then the bottom of our face curves up with our smile. So that's our chin touching the shoulder. And then the back of the neck is on the right side. So look at the attitude that you're getting for that very avant-garde and dynamic pose. Okay, so we're just going to go and flesh out the arm on the left and the right of our guideline for that arm. And then the hand is going to be on top of the thigh on our left side of the paper. Round out that shoulder on the right side, and boom, you can see that attitude. Now let's put in the guideline for our bust. It's parallel to those shoulders. It starts at 2 1/4. And now your smile on the right side sticks out a little further than the side because we can see a little profile. So going ahead and add that in place. And then you're going to add in your apex and round off that right side of our paper edge up to the shoulder. Okay, we're going to sneak the right arm in place there, and that right arm is going to pretty much mirror the side of our body. Some of the arm is going to be hidden by our hip. Then we are going to add our wrist socket and put your hand in place. And you can decide if you want to bring the fingers, like I have, on top of the leg. So some of the arm is hidden, but the fingers and the thumb is on top of our thigh. I'm just going to emphasize what I did here with my pink colored pencil so that face gets redrawn right next to that shoulder, and that's how you get that attitude of the shoulder being raised and the hips being pushed forward and the torso and the upper body being back. So I'm just going to highlight that with my pink colored pencil. And once again, you use that center line to measure. So if you want to check the length of your arms, remember 1.5 to 3 is for the shoulder to elbow, and then 3 to 4 1/4 is elbow to wrist. So this way you draw the guidelines first and you go back and measure second to make sure you have exactly the wrist and the elbow in the correct position. And then we're just doing our diagonal lines for our hand and those J shapes for the fingertips and the bottom of our thumb. That's it for this time around. I will see you in class, and until then, happy sketching.